Welcome to Pawfectly Unleashed, a podcast where four friends talk about dog mom life, mental health, and everything in between. This week, we're going to talk about mental health. We want to give a disclaimer that in this episode, we're going to be talking about anxiety, depression, PTSD, food insecurities, things around food. So if any of those are triggers for you, we want to give you the opportunity now to skip and tune in next week. This week for our mental health check-in, we're going to start with highs and lows. Caroline, do you want to start?
Yes. So a high is definitely our new puppy. She is amazing. She's an angel. She just lights up every room she comes into, and I absolutely adore her. My low would be that with this new addition, I feel so out of sorts. I just don't feel like I can get on a consistent schedule. Every time I do get on a schedule, it feels like it gets interrupted and I'm not great with adapting. So it's just been a challenge trying to get work done and get house stuff done and get work done for the business, get work done for my personal, all of that, and still have a life and be able to communicate with friends and family. And it's just a lot right now, so I'm just trying to figure it out. But it's caused a sense of disruption and chaos in my brain, which is never a good thing. So that would be my low. Not that big of a low, but it's definitely something that's thrown me off course. Alexis, what have been your highs and lows?
I would say my low was this past weekend. Out of nowhere, I'm just chilling in the bathtub, enjoying some relaxing time, and then all of a sudden just start crying for 45 minutes, and I couldn't stop. Don't know why, I couldn't tell you. But my high is I have been trying to get my half sleeve tattoo done, and I finally scheduled my appointment, and that's for tomorrow. So, how about you, Britt?
So my highs, we'll start with my highs. That is definitely me getting back on a normal sleeping schedule or being on some kind of schedule. So my sleeping schedule is all over the place. For a while, I was going to sleep at 9:30 and then I was waking up at 7 in the morning. I'm starting to get, well, this is more for my lifestyle, the way that kind of adapts to my lifestyle with my husband. I'm starting to get more of a comfortable sleep schedule of going to bed between 10:30 to 11:30 when I went to the office. And then when I'm off, I kind of stay up till 12:30. And when I'm off, I'm waking up at 9:30, which to me just makes a world of a difference than waking up at 7 in the morning. My lows. Let's see. I honestly, this week, I'm gonna say my mental health is definitely a low this week. Between yesterday and today, we're probably on a solid maybe a 5 if I'm generous out of 100. Nikki, what about you?
All timely that we're recording this episode. My high is, and let me preface this by saying we are delayed in releasing these. So when we're recording, it is surely not the same time that you're listening to it, but we released our first episode this week, and that was super exciting. First 2 episodes, which you guys already know because you've already listened to them. I'm pretty sure that everyone else probably has that on their high too. And then to piggyback off of that, Britt got us all these really adorable necklaces that say pup on them. Britt and Alexis are wearing them, so if you're watching, you can see them. If you're not watching, we can post a picture in our stories so you can see what they look like. And I'm obsessed with it. I think it's adorable. I worked in the office today and I don't wear anything nice when I go there, so that did not make it on me. But those things were really great. The necklace actually got delivered to me on the day that we released, which I thought was really serendipitous, which was, I think actually we all got them on the release day, which was just really cool. A low, I've just been really exhausted. I don't know what it is. I'm not sick. I think it's allergies. I think the pollen count is super high. I just feel brain fog and 800 hours of sleep would not be enough right now. So, yeah, that's where I'm at.
Okay, so I'm actually very excited on today's episode, this topic, because I feel like it should be spoken about more. Um, I feel like a lot of people, and when I say a lot of people, I'm speaking of myself. Anytime that I say anything, I'm speaking about myself, but I make myself like plural to make myself feel better. So, I feel like people kind of like beat around the bush when it comes to mental health and not talking about it. And I feel like it's something that you should be more open about, because then people understand why you're not answering their text messages, or why you're not so involved in other people's lives, or like why you need like the step back from whatever. You might just be going through something. Like, how many times am I going through something and I text you guys like, hey, I just need to talk this out. I literally did that to Caroline before this episode and said, hey, I'm having really bad anxiety and I feel like I'm going to cry and pull my hair out at the same time. And she's like, what can I do? And I'm like, I just need somebody to listen to me, because sometimes me saying it makes it better.
I definitely feel like the conversation doesn't get had enough, because it can be uncomfortable. Like, talking about mental health can make you uncomfortable. It can make the other person uncomfortable. And it's a conversation that I feel like could be normalized more. I know for us, and what we are trying to do is, have that open space where people do feel like they can be comfortable with conversations like this. So I am glad that we're here. I'm glad that we're talking about this, and I'm glad that we can be open and share our experiences, and hopefully someone can relate. Hopefully someone can feel less alone in having this conversation. And I just think that's the great thing about being open with each other and using this podcast to have these conversations.
Being vulnerable is hard. Being vulnerable is not always well received. Growing up in the time that I did, it wasn't really something that you talked about. Your mental health was yours to deal with. It was yours to manage. And it was something that you were supposed to push down and put on a happy face and move forward. I think that I really learned how to compartmentalize growing up in that way. And let me preface this by saying I had a wonderful childhood. This is nothing to say about that. I have great parents. I had wonderful friends. I had a wonderful support system. But I was never asked explicitly, like, why I was lashing out, or why I shut down, or why I was exhibiting the behaviors that I was exhibiting.
Or like talk about your feelings.
Yeah, it was just that I was being bad. I was being a teenager that was non-compliant. I was sleeping all the time, and I was just told to wake up. And it wasn't because I was physically tired. I didn't learn that until much later. But it's hard, and it's really hard to be open about it. I think there's fear of judgment. And I have learned through all of this, and let me preface by saying I'm 36. So this is not something that came quickly. It definitely came with age. It came with maturing, but I just don't care anymore. If you are not going to receive me in the way that I need you to, if you are not going to be open to hearing the good and the bad about me, you don't deserve the good. And
I love that.
Thank you. I will not shut up about it. I think that it's an important thing. I think that the more people talk about it, it makes people more comfortable to talk about it more. I think that's happened in our group chat of our community that we talked about previously on Instagram. I think there are just so much more good that can come out of talking about it. People just feel less alone.
100%.
Mental health is really something that can make you feel like you're in a corner all by yourself or in a room alone, even if you're in a room full of 100 people. And I just don't think that people should have to feel like that anymore. It just sucks.
I feel like society as a whole in the past has made it seem like it was taboo to talk about.
Exactly.
And it shouldn't be. Like, in some way, shape, or form, the majority of the time, something is going through someone's head all day, every day. So you being able to talk about it and finding a safe space within people to talk about it and know that that's okay, I think is like what the ultimate goal should be. No matter what you're feeling, obviously don't be mean to people, but like, if you say it in a nice way, like, hey, you know, X, Y, and Z, I feel this because X, Y, and Z. And like, me growing up as a kid, I had no idea. Mind you, I'm pretty sure I have had anxiety since I was like a child, but I had no idea what it was. No idea, because it wasn't talked about until, how old am I? 29. At 29 years old is when I finally got diagnosed with anxiety. So I've gone 29 years with it and not knowing what it was because it just wasn't talked about.
Could you imagine if like all of our parents, I mean, I have a great dad. Hands down, I love that man with all of me. He was the reason why I went to therapy. So could you imagine if everybody had like a parent like my dad that was like, "Ooh, you know what? She's struggling. She's been through some things and let's put her into therapy." And he doesn't have any mental health. He doesn't struggle with mental health and he tries to understand it. And it's really hard to explain to somebody that doesn't get it. But I think what matters is even if they don't understand, they try to, or they try to be there for you. And this man has always shown up to me that way. Like I've been in therapy, I think, I don't even remember the exact age, but since grammar school. And like he would come in, like I'd have my own sessions, and then he would come in with me to try to understand my feelings with a therapist. And like,
I love that.
Right. And like that to me, I'm 29 years old and like it's instilled in my memory. What we talked about, I don't remember like those things, but those like that's a core memory for me that my dad showed up in that way.
Yeah, he identified that he couldn't help you on his own and figured out how to get you the help that you needed. And I think that's amazing. I know.
Getting emotional.
I know.
That's commendable for sure. I know for my family, I have nothing but amazing things to say about my family. They are some of the best support systems. But feelings isn't a popular topic within my family.
Oh, mine either. I totally get that.
Yeah. And so, you know, as I've gotten older and I've had some things diagnosed, and things be made a little bit more clear, it's been really enjoyable to have conversations with my mom and to be able to tell her what's going on. And in my childhood growing up, I, like Nikki, I had an amazing childhood, two amazing parents, three amazing sisters, and we all had each other's back in such a kind and loving way. It just wasn't a very like emotional feelings way. And so a lot of things I kept to myself thinking, oh, if I share this, you know, I'll be looked at differently. I'll be judged by them. I will get in trouble, like whatever the case was in my childhood and like my teenage years. And so a lot of conversations have happened between me and my mom specifically, and I've been able to communicate. I went through this as a teenager, and I'm not opening up about it until now when I'm 23. This happened 6+ years ago, and I'm just now having conversations with her about what I went through, what I experienced, and the trauma that I have to live with now, and the anxiety I have to live with now, and the depression I have to live with now, and the difficult relationship I have with food, And I get to explain it to her in such a different way that like makes our bond so much stronger, because I'm like, I kept so much from you that I didn't feel like we could be open with each other and we could have that bond. And so now being able to talk to her about it and, you know, tell her like, hey, this is what's going on. And so I think it's really a wonderful thing. But it's also something a lot of people don't get to experience. And so I think regardless if it's a parent, if it's a sibling, if it's any sort of family member or a friend that you are able to talk to and feel their support, and have them hear you out and, you know, validate your feelings or just like feel heard. I know that was a conversation between me and Britt. It was like, I just need to feel heard right now. Like that's all I need, you know? And so having that support system, I think, is really important, especially with people dealing with mental health. And like Britt was saying, it's hard to explain to someone who doesn't experience it. It's hard to get them to understand how you feel. But having someone there who doesn't feel the need to understand, but can still support you, regardless of them being able to experience it themselves or not, is so important. Yeah. And that's an emphasis on how grateful I am to have you guys, because even though you don't have the same experiences as I do, you don't have the same traumas or the same anxiety or the same kind of depression, we can still be there for each other and relate to each other and support each other, lift each other up. And yeah, it's just it's a good feeling to have.
I love that your mom is open to having these conversations with you now, and that there's no resentment or anything held from those times. I was a difficult teenager, and my mom and I joke about it a lot. But very similarly, she is open to hearing me out, and we joke that you lash out on the ones that you love most, that are closest to you, the hardest. And for me, that's totally true. It's my husband and my mom. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just, before you, I don't want to, whatever. That's true.
Yeah.
It's right. Like that's 100% true. Like you do lash out on the ones that you love the most.
Because you know that they're not going anywhere. I feel so
Which
secure
is comfortable.
Yeah, I feel so secure in those relationships. Yeah, I'm totally. I'm being mean. I'm being mean, and I'm letting out all of my emotions that may or may not have anything to do with either of them on them, because I know at the end of the day, no matter what I do, no matter what I say, no matter how evil the things that come out of my mouth are, they will still love me.
I'm glad so like for me, my trauma started with abandonment issues. So the majority of the way I feel, I keep internally, because it's a fear that the people that I do love the most will go somewhere. So like when I lash out on myself, I don't lash out on other people, because I was abandoned as a kid, like by a parent of mine. So that brings back like when anything comes up with me, I'm like, oh, I can't say that, because then what if they're going to run away?
Well, you can say it to me because you're stuck with me forever. So
same. And so like we're here. Also kind of reworking through all of that now, since I'm getting a divorce, like all that abandonment's coming right back up.
It's flooded.
It's like it's a full circle moment. So I'm like, oh, okay, well maybe we shouldn't say that out loud, because look what happened the last time. So, it's like the thing that you got to get through with your head, that you aren't the problem.
I was just going to say, I need to remind you in this moment, as I have 1 million times in text messages and will continue to every time you mention that, it was not your fault.
Yep.
100%.
It was not your fault. It was not you. Things happen, and that's okay. And we're just so glad that you are working through it to be a happier you on the other side. But that's a really good call out of not everybody has
That's
the feelings of security or even those people in their lives that they know that no matter what, you're not going to give up on me. And I mean,
it's just a different type of trauma, I guess, and anxiety. And just
I knew that my mom I knew that my mom wasn't going anywhere.
But exactly. Yep.
She was there no matter. She was my mom. I could be so incredibly mean and turn around 37 seconds later and say, I'm hungry, can you make me a sandwich? And she would. And sorry, Mom, I love you. You know that. But we can acknowledge it now. I couldn't then. I didn't understand what I was doing. I didn't understand how hurtful it was. I didn't understand why I had these feelings of, oh, my anxiety is up because someone in my house just woke up from a nap and I can hear their feet moving upstairs. I didn't realize that not everybody had heightened anxiety the moment that they heard footsteps. I didn't realize that not everybody can identify who's walking around their house just by their sound of the footsteps. I didn't know that those things.
When my therapist told me that was not normal, I was like, what? I'm like, you can't tell like who's on your main floor just by how they're walking? What do you mean? You don't know who's walking through your door just by hearing how they opened it? That's like, what?
Yeah.
But I kid you not. My therapist looked at me and they were like, like, we have a lot of unpacking.
Yeah, those intrusive thoughts that not everybody has. Like when I told my therapist for the first time that I was driving to clinical and just had the thought of, let me right into this pole real quick. Just not enough to, not exist on this world anymore, but just enough to get a little bit hurt so I could be in the hospital for enough time that I can just have a break. And I think I followed it up by saying, but everybody feels like that sometimes. And my therapist was like, no, they don't. I was like, what do you mean? Everybody gets to a breaking point. And they were like, yeah, nope. People have coping mechanisms that work and we have to find yours. And that was wild to me. That was wild.
I think it's interesting what y'all were saying about, the footsteps or walking in the door, or something I have learned through therapy, which, by the way, I just want to emphasize that if you don't have a therapist, go get you one. Therapy is amazing. I recommend it to everyone. Just want to put that out there, emphasize on that. But as I've been in therapy and I've been learning more about myself, learning more about things that I do that aren't normal per se, like it takes me 3 hours to 5 hours to shower. And that's not because I'm standing in the shower for 3 to 5 hours. It's because I have to work up the process to showering, to being in the shower, to getting out of the shower. I have to lay in bed for a solid 30 minutes to an hour after I take a shower to reset. Because showering for me is a trauma response to a situation I experienced. And now my mind thinks a shower is not a fun, enjoyable thing to do. So there's a lot of things that we do that are not normal, but are normal for us. And I think one of the things with people who have anxiety, or for me, PTSD and anxiety, is the awareness and ability to be more observant, because some things we get set off by, some things we get triggered by. And so having to be aware of someone walking in the door and being like, okay, that was that person, we're good. Or like, that was a different door open, who was that? Like we, in our minds, as we overthink and as we're anxious and as we have trauma responses, it kind of just like triggers. I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying that this is like factual, but I'm saying I feel like in my head, it makes sense that this could be like a response to situations that happen in our minds. We overthink. We are anxious. we are hyper aware of situations. So I thought that was interesting as y'all were saying that, because there's like so many things that I do and people are like, that's not normal. And I'm like, wait a minute, you don't do that? Like,
So wait,
I thought this was a thing that we share.
so you know how you with showers, it's the trauma response. Me with showers, it's something with, it's so much work. I don't know why my brain is like, this is so much work. And it's the same thing. Like, it takes me, like, I wish, and I don't understand those people that get up and take showers the minute that they wake up. I can't do that. Physically cannot do it. Am I dirty? No. Do I shower? Yes. But like, it's literally right before bed, because like, I will wake up and be like, I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to have, like, today's the day I'm going to have my life together. I'm going to put myself together. No, absolutely not. Every day the same, every day the same thing. I take a shower right before bed. Like, I don't know who I am that I think that I'm going to take a shower before that, because I can't. And then once I get in the shower, I don't want to leave the shower because it's the best place ever. So like, make that make sense. I don't know. I don't know why.
I used to be the one that got up and took a shower immediately
I
when
knew
I worked
it.
a corporate job.
Yep.
Like 100%. Like, I would get up, take a shower. Now, if I get up and take a shower, I get like almost like in the mornings. Like, I can get in the shower after like a couple hours of just being awake. But if I wake up and go straight to the shower, it literally makes me physically ill. Like, I get so hot,
like lethargic.
Like it's like I get so hot and I feel like I'm gonna throw up, and like,
Wow.
I just can't, like, I'm almost about to pass out. So like, if I have to get up and take a shower, it's like I'm gonna take like a 30-second shower, because otherwise I'm gonna be laying on the bed for 20 minutes because I'm sick as a dog. I don't know what it is.
That's
but
so
every
weird.
single time.
That's how I feel after every single shower. Doesn't matter what time of the day it is. After the shower, I feel so gross. I feel so sick. I literally have to lay down in bed or else I'm going to pass out. I don't know what it is. I take
exactly
cold
how I
showers too. Like, it's not even like I'm
Do you
overheated.
see
Like,
my
I
face?
take cold showers.
I
don't know what it is.
but only the
It's a
morning
trauma
showers.
response for me.
I don't. How do you
Interesting.
shower? I wouldn't shower.
Yeah, me neither. I would be
I just
dirty.
have to do it, but that's why it takes me so long to prepare
I don't
mentally to take
Yeah.
a shower, because I
Yeah.
know it's going to put me out. So it's like, when I wake up in the morning and I have, like last night, I was like, I
What
have to take
about
a shower today because we recorded today. Same thing.
Same
Same thing.
thing.
And I had to work myself up all day that I have to take a shower, no questions about it, or else I'm going to have to take a shower in the morning today and then feel terrible all day and ruin my day because we had to record. So I was like, you have to take a shower Wednesday night. That's it. No questions. You have to do it. So it was like all day being anxious, on edge, because I knew I had to take a shower that night. If I get out, like if I just like body shower and I'm like,
I was
going
gonna say, what happens if it's
big of a
just...
deal? It's not as intimidating. If I have to wash my hair, that's like, I will be anxious all day leading up to it. If I take like just a body shower, then it's like not as bad. I do those every day. So it's like, I'm kind of more consistent, but I still, every time I get out of the shower, regardless of what kind of shower, I have to be in bed for at least 30 minutes to an hour to recover.
I also lay in bed after showering. Now I'm realizing that might be an anxiety thing, not a preference thing. My roommate in college would make fun of me because she'd be like, okay, so now you're going to be in your towel, like with your towel on your head and lay in bed for 30 minutes. And I'd be like, yep, see you in 30. But I never understood people that were like, I wake up and I get in the shower and I'm so awake in the morning because I want to go back to sleep. I'm exhausted. You put me in a warm shower, it's like rocking a baby to bed. I'm going to fall asleep in the shower. And I always
I can't do all that, but
no,
I have fallen asleep in the shower before. Let me tell you.
That's not good.
How do you you're standing up, Alexis?
No. I lay down. I lay down.
But that's a bath.
What?
Nope, I don't have
No,
bath.
Wait, I need to hear
have
this explanation.
The water's not in the bath. The water's
I don't
spraying
have a
on you.
bathtub. I have a shower that like the water doesn't hold. It's like a flat flat. Like
I sit in the shower.
Shower.
I sit in the shower. I think that's okay. So now I'm learning that maybe that's not a normal thing. A normal thing to do.
Floor, laid
Yeah,
down,
feet on the
with
wall,
shower.
head on. My head's on the back of the tub, but I have to make sure that I splash water on the back of the tub first. Otherwise,
But I don't
it's
have a
cold
tub,
when I lay down.
So that's why mine's like, I'm like flat out, feet in the air.
I would
lay
do the
down.
same thing if I didn't have a tub. We're on the same page. I always thought that
And
that was
for
because
like 4
I just
5 minutes I was asleep.
Okay, so
Yeah.
something about like I can go in a bathtub. Like if there's water in it, I can do that. Sitting on like in the bathtub without water in it with that, I don't know. To me, that's dirty. But also,
I don't
like
have
I
a-
take
Britt, I
baths.
don't have a
That
bathtub.
makes sense. No. I know what you're
Bathtub.
saying. No, I
Okay.
know what you're saying. Like one of those stand-up showers. It's a stand-up
Yeah.
shower.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same. Like, but it's. I was just saying for me, like I can get into a
just makes you
bathtub,
feel-
but
yeah.
to sit on the floor of a stand-up shower.
So
Well, I won't do it in
when
someone
I take
else's
a-
shower. I'll only do it
when
in
I
mine
take
because I know
bath,
it's clean.
I
And
have
like
to clean the tub before I take a bath. So I have
Oh,
to
yeah.
clean it knowing that
Yeah.
I'm about to take a bath. And then I have to shower. And then I can take a bath.
Oh no,
I'm the
I would get dirty
opposite.
up in that bathtub. And then
No,
I'm gonna
I'm
go
gonna-
shower.
Take a
I'm
bath
just like
first.
laying in dirt.
Yep.
Then I have to
But-
shower afterwards because I think
Yeah.
that I've been sitting in my dirt water
Yeah,
the whole
that's me.
time I've been in
But-
the bath.
My explanation for the shower, so to relieve my cramps, literally a shower was the only thing that could ever help it until I
Yeah.
found the tea. So I literally would just sleep and let the water sit there and like basically
That
like
makes
a
sense.
heating pad on my stomach.
It feels good. You guys should try it. But I always thought it
Yeah.
was because I'm a water sign and I like
I am
recharge
too,
with
I
water.
guess. I'm a crabby.
And yes, and that's why we like to do that, Alexis.
That's so interesting. Huh. The more
I like
you
to
know.
do it with really, really hot water. And if I'm standing
All
up,
the way
it'll
on.
make me lightheaded. So I have to sit down in order to let the really hot water like desensitize my body, because then all I can think about is the hot water.
you know, like that helps if I'm standing in the shower and it's beating on my back. That's
Same idea. I just have to be sitting down.
Interesting.
Otherwise, I'll get too lightheaded and feel like
Just
I'm
try
gonna pass
it.
out.
Just try it sitting down one day and just let us know.
okay.
I
I'll
have
try.
learned
I
so much
will-
about y'all. I'm like, what is going on? The only time I've ever sat down in the shower was when I almost
Can I
passed
put
out
like a?
because I
can I-
did get overheated.
Oh yeah. All right. That touched me too.
I'm
All right.
just
So I
like-
guess I have sat in the shower.
I
Yeah,
have. I
this is
just
like a
didn't
normal
like it.
occurrence
Sit in
for
the shower
every
for
shower.
fun.
I
Like
did
people
not
have
enjoy
shower
it,
seats
though.
for a reason. I just don't have a
I
shower
just-
seat, so I just use
See,
the
I
floor.
just
I don't know, something with like sitting, like I said, I can sit in a bathtub with water in it, but like sitting naked on
I get it. Doesn't bother
This
me.
is interesting. This was an interesting conversation, guys.
This is very interesting. I
Um,
wonder what our viewers are thinking right now.
Yeah.
Really, welcome to the group chat, guys. Now
Yeah.
you
Welcome.
know how
This
We
is
just
us.
went off on.
And
That's
then
really-
and then we quickly go into, okay, let's change the subject now.
Yeah.
And another
What
thing
other?
that's not quote unquote normal is replaying conversations in your head 700 times.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, what
Or
about
practicing
Yeah.
them before they happen.
Or
Yep.
like
Yep.
when you're gonna do an
Mhm.
argument
Mm-hmm.
and then the person doesn't say what you have in your head, and you're like, ooh.
I wasn't
Wait,
prepared for
That
that.
happens so many times. Yeah, and I'm like, wait. I
That wasn't
prepared
your
for this
line.
all night, and you were not supposed to say that. Can we try that again? Retake.
I thought you were going to react differently.
Mhm.
Wait, you're actually being a lot meaner than I had it planned in my head. Hold on.
Mine's usually
I
the
was not
opposite. They're
prepared for
usually
this.
being nicer than
Nicer.
I planned in my head because
Yeah.
I'm
Mhm.
planning to cut you off at the knees.
Well,
I would
I
be
was
more
just,
mean.
I was trying to be more positive, okay? But I couldn't
Britt.
imagine that, okay? I do imagine the meaner version, but
I think another reason, like for
Hmm.
me, like when I used to like argue with my ex, like when we would get into an argument, I want to figure it out right then. And now, like thinking back about it, I think that's because I didn't want to think about it. Like, I didn't want to keep
Oh,
replaying
yeah.
it in my head for the next 45
Yeah.
minutes until, like, I think that's probably why. Oh,
Yeah, and that doesn't happen to everyone, which was also a surprise to me. So I will replay every single scenario that I can think of, my lines and yours, so that I can be prepared, because something about my anxiety is when I'm angry, my mind goes blank and I go into a rage.
Oh,
And then I can't be held responsible for the things that come out of my mouth in that rage, because if I haven't prepared something to say, I'm mean. And I know that about myself. And I'm not even mean. I'm not even like rightfully so you were mean, or like rightfully so you said that. I'm picking the things that I know are going to hurt, regardless of if they
like
are
the zingers.
related to the argument or related to the conversation. I'm going there. Then I don't even remember that I went there when I come out of the rage.
See, now I'm the same way, and everybody likes to blame it on my zodiac sign.
Yeah.
So, is it zodiac sign, or does it have to do with my mental?
maybe a little bit.
Or is it where we grew up?
Maybe.
No, because I'm the same way. And I'm different growing
Because
up
like
than
I
you.
will bring up things that have nothing to do with anything, and it's
Yep.
just because I know it's going to get you.
Yep.
Like
Mine
right
is
in the gut.
coming from a place of I'm hurt, and this is how I can get you to understand that hurt, because you're not understanding how hurt I am with with me explaining the way I feel right now. So I'm going to find something to make you hurt just as much as I am.
Yeah.
And I think that's where mine comes from.
Wow, we're really just outing ourselves on here.
Interesting.
Here's all our red
Yeah, I'm
flags.
like,
Yeah.
I think for me, I am like too nice on purpose. Like, you're gonna sit here and say, like, I wish you were never born, and I'm like, okay, that's fair. I get it. And
That would make me so mad if
What?
that's how you responded when I said that to you in an argument.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a very like petty thing to do, or I'm just
I
like
would not
sitting there
straight
straight face, like not.
I aspire to be like Caroline.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Could
don't
you
think-
imagine
Well, it's
those
still
comebacks?
not a good reaction.
But that's better than
Because
me
I'll-
sitting there and saying like,
Better than a rage blackout and telling you the things that I'm really
our
thinking.
brains, the way that our brains work, could you imagine having an argument with Caroline?
No.
I would just, that's it. I'm done. I don't want to talk anymore.
I would probably set my
See,
phone
that's
on
the thing.
fire.
That's the thing. It's just like a
Look at
very
Nikki's
blank
face.
stare. Like, you're not bothering me. You're not affecting me. Just like,
Yeah, and I
Blank
want to
sh- blank
bother
straight
you.
face.
So that would kill me. Yeah, it
I
would
would
be.
set my phone on
Mhm.
fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd set myself on fire, and then set my house on fire, and then
The world would burn.
set everything.
Yeah.
everything's on fire.
All of this to say,
And I would still be sitting here
Oddly
going,
enough.
okay.
hmm oddly enough, the four of us make like we really balance each other out, even though it probably doesn't seem
sound
like
like
this right now.
We all
it-
sound like questionable right now. I
Yeah.
swear. We're
I think
good
it's because
people.
we all know like how each other are. And so like if something happens, we'll be like, wait, I didn't mean to make it sound like that. Like, let me just clear up what I just said.
yeah.
We're very good at that.
Yeah.
We're very
Yeah.
good at talking to each other, like when we're spiraling and talking each other out of a spiral. I'm sure by now you watched was it the first episode that I had my moment?
The second one, maybe.
I'm sorry. Yeah, this was it. The second or was it the third one? I don't know. It was one of those.
I don't
and
know at this point.
I don't either. I had a moment, and when I have my moments, I'm better off at everybody just kind of leaving me alone, letting me kind of breathe and like talk it out to myself, and then we just
Mhm.
kind of check in, and then we gear shift because that's just what
Mhm.
works for me.
Mm-hmm.
And
I feel like we're all really good at knowing what everybody needs. Like,
Yeah.
when Nikki spirals, I'm like, all right, how do we unspiral you? Like, where is this coming from? Like,
yeah, let's get to the bottom of it. We're also really good at identifying if we have said something or have delivered something in a way that we didn't mean to deliver it. All of us are very good at backtracking and say, I think that came out wrong. And we're all human. That happens. It happens a lot. It happens a lot. I also think we voice note a lot. We go on tangents and we send things. We type things out and send them without checking it. We're friends. We, it truly is a safe place for us to say things, but it allows us to go back and say, wait a minute, I reread that, or I listened to it again, or your reaction wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So let me reevaluate the way in which I said that. And I'm sorry if it hurt you and I didn't mean that. We do that a lot. It doesn't always happen in the group chat. We usually have the initial outburst or whatever you'd like to call it in the group chat. And then the secondary, wait a minute, backpedal comes in an individual text to the person. I think it's less ominous that way. I think I would rather be confronted I would rather someone come to me one-to-one than put it in a group and have opinions from people that don't necessarily need to have opinions. I did it to Alexis recently with something that I commented on her Instagram. And like hours later, I texted her and said, I feel like you could have taken this a completely different way. And I'm so sorry. And she was like, no. And it was after she had already commented back something on Instagram that I read that, and it should have alerted me to say she did not take it in the way that you just spiraled into thinking that she took it, but I couldn't get myself out of that hole. So I just texted her and said, I'm so sorry. Did you take it this way? And she was like, no, absolutely not. That's not how I took it, which I'm so thankful for having a safe space to be able to say that. I mean, the best case scenario is that the person writes back and says, wait, no, I didn't. You're in your own head. We're totally fine here. And worst case is that they did take it like that, but then you have already opened the door to say, I'm so sorry.
Hey, I didn't mean it that way.
Exactly.
I did that to Caroline.
Yeah, there's been so many scenarios.
Yep. Literally, we could go on and on.
Yeah.
There's been many scenarios where we'll throw something in the group chat and then be like, that's not what I meant. Or like someone will respond, like we'll have a conversation about what that person said, and then I'll get a text being like, I did not mean it like that. And I'm like, you're good. Like, we're good. I didn't take it like that. Or I'll be like, oh, I did not mean it the way I'm reading it again. It's coming out a different way than I like meant to say it originally. So then I'll text that person like, I am so sorry. Like, that was not the intention. They're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, okay, we're good. Everything's good. Like, it's definitely happened to all of us plenty of times, but having the safe space to be like, I didn't mean it like that, or someone coming to me being like, that didn't sit right with me. I don't feel like you said that in the right way, or I feel like, offended from what you said, and being like, okay, that's my bad. Like, I totally see that. That is valid. That is fair. I apologize for it, coming across this way. Let me explain to you what I meant to say and like try to figure something out, work something out. And I think that's, like you were saying, Nikki, that's like the good thing about our group is that we can have those discussions and we can be patient and understanding with each other and how we communicate and, still being able to forgive or being able to apologize.
Yeah.
I think that's like really important.
And not ever feeling judged for any of the weird things that I throw into the group chat. Like, for example, I went to go eat my favorite comfort food today and it was gross. And now what? Or like, can you give me a new idea of a safe food that you have so that I can maybe try that, because I need to eat because I'm lightheaded and I haven't eaten all day, but my go-to makes me want to vomit right now.
Mhm.
And that's not something that I really have ever opened up to people about before. But having a history of disordered eating and then being able to find people that get it and can tell you, like, when I'm feeling like that, I like something that I just told, I think, Caroline recently was, when I'm feeling like I can't eat something, I put bone broth in a mug and pretend that it's tea. And that's how I get protein and calories in, by tricking myself into thinking that it's a drink, because I can't do protein shakes because they make my stomach icky. But like, that's a comfort thing for Britt. And
Protein
I
shakes
love this
and green juice.
conversation. Protein shakes and green juices are literally my comfort because sometimes chewing food is too much.
Mhm.
sensory overload.
Or how about the other day I made my favorite, egg fried rice. I love egg fried rice. Tell me how I took 3 bites out of my egg fried rice and my body fully was like, absolutely not.
I was so sad for you.
Instead, I
You
had
worked so hard
for
on that.
dinner. I know. And instead, I had grapes for dinner.
But at least you ate,
It's hard.
right? I mean, like, let's spin it to the positive here. Like, there's not
At least
going to be a day that I'm not going to eat, because the moment that I say I'm lightheaded, the first question that these 3 are going to ask me is, when's the last time that you ate?
What'd you eat today?
What'd you eat today? What do you
And
feel like you
that
can eat now?
We'll FaceTime you to make sure that you're eating.
15 minutes later, have you eaten?
Absolutely.
Do you want to eat
Maybe
together?
show it to me. You're not
That's another
believing
thing,
that
too,
I'm
because
saying yes.
like a few months ago, I drastically lost like 10 pounds within 2 months. And everybody was like, yeah, no, you're going to send me the pictures of your food every day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I'm not hungry. Well, you're going to eat.
Pictures of before and after. I want to see the clean plate too.
Yeah.
And we all started doing that.
Mm-hmm.
We all started sending before and after of all of our meals, because, you know, if one person's doing it, we're all doing it. We're all going to pitch in and like show like, okay, yeah, this is what I'm eating. What did you eat? And to like hopefully be able to encourage each other to have a meal. I distinctly remember a conversation that I had, and y'all are probably going to laugh at me that I remember this so vividly, but I don't think I can ever forget it. I was sitting on, we had a meeting, and then Alexis went to bed, and me and Britt were going to work on our book that we published. And we were sitting there, and Nikki was a part of the conversation. And I was like, hang on, guys. I feel like I'm about to pass out. And then I hear Brittney explaining to Nikki that I haven't been eating and that I'm like, my blood sugar's low. And I hear Nikki, as I'm like going to search for food and find the quickest thing I can grab, I hear Nikki throwing out suggestions to Britt. And I was like listening to what she was saying, and I grabbed the first thing that she said. And then I grabbed M&Ms, and I come back. And I just will never forget that conversation, because like it was immediate into like, okay, how can we help? How can we support you? Even by giving a suggestion, like what can we do? We can throw out like a billion foods. The first one that sounds good, try that. Like it was just such an encouraging conversation. And honestly, y'all are probably the first people I have talked to about my eating struggles. I have weeks where I don't eat. I have weeks where I can only eat one thing every single day. I mean, I went through a situation last week. I ate Taco Bell 4 nights in a row for dinner because that's all I could eat. That's literally it. And they had like a new food that came out, and I was like, I tried it for the first time and I couldn't eat anything but that. And so that's been something that I've always struggled with, but I've always been super quiet about, because I didn't know why I was like this. I just thought I was weird. I was like, this is strange. No one in my life has ever experienced this before. And then talking to Nikki and being like, I struggle with food textures. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
you do too? Like, that's not just me. And like having that conversation
yeah.
of being like, wait a minute, I'm not alone in this. Like, let's talk
Mhm.
about it. And now, like Alexis was saying, she was struggling eating and we're all sending food. Just like conversations like that can really help. Conversations like Nikki just like talking to Britt about food, and I'm like listening to the conversation being like, oh, that's a good idea. I didn't think about that. I think it was like a cookie or something. You're like, can you eat a cookie? Can you eat this? And I grabbed a cookie
Anything.
and that's what I ate.
Mhm.
And I felt better. And so
Yeah.
it's like just having those like people to talk to you about it has really helped me in ways that I didn't think would be helpful.
This is also something that I didn't realize was not quote unquote normal. I, again, grew up in the 90s. There was a certain aesthetic that was popular in that era, and it was not okay to have curves. That's
Thick
not my
figures.
body type. Yeah, I was never
Thick
going
figure.
to obtain it. But because of that, I feel like everyone around me had disordered eating.
Mm-hmm.
And it was normal. It was almost like applauded. Like, oh, you were able to only eat a half a cup of rice today and you didn't feel sick. You were able to go through your day. That's great. And that's scary because I didn't realize that I had all of this food noise, all of this anxiety around food, honestly, until probably well into my early 30s. I just thought that that was something that people dealt with, women specifically. I thought everyone had these feelings of don't take too many chips or crackers and cheese off of the charcuterie board because everyone's watching you. Everyone's watching what you're putting on your plate. They're judging you.
Don't take seconds because
God forbid, but also clean your plate because it's rude not to.
So make
But
sure that you
also-
take a little bit, but not too much, but not
Right.
too little because then it's offensive to the person that you're going to the house.
Exactly. And
Now,
clean your plate if you're not
I-
hungry.
See, now I grew up where I love ice cream. Ice cream is my guilty pleasure. Like I would take ice cream over dinner. Like that was my thing. I would get a pint of ice cream and I'd go to my room and I would always be asked, are you sure that's what you want to eat? Are you sure that you want to eat that pint of ice cream? And like things like that when you're younger just sit in the back of your head. So like now my husband, I got him into a big ice cream connoisseur. He used to never really like ice cream. And like our guilty pleasure is like going to Sonic and getting ice cream or like a fast food place and getting ice cream. And like there was a week that we were doing it every single day. And like by the 7th day, my little person on my shoulder was like, we can't do this tonight. And here's my husband. Let's go get ice cream. Like we've been doing this for a week now. Like I'm looking forward to this. And I'm like, no,
I can't.
no, I can't. Like I've done it 6 days, something about the 7th. I can't do it. It's in my ear. I can't. Okay. Although I do not recommend eating ice cream 7 days a week, it is better than having nothing in your system. And I highly recommend having something in your system. Find your comfort food, find your comfort drink, whatever it is to get those calories and those proteins and whatever in your system. I want to end this episode with saying we are a safe space for anybody and whoever has stuck through this very chaotic and a fun way, I hope, episode of hearing everything that we kind of go through. I hope that you're less alone. We do understand that this was a heavier episode than we have been producing. But I promise next episode is light, funny, and will kind of bring you back into the good feels, I promise. And again, like I said, we are a safe space and we just want to make sure that you know that you're not alone.
As always, our DMs are always open. You can
For
talk to us
sure.
about anything and it will remain anonymous.
Yeah,
100%.
That was really well said, Britt.
you.
We are going to wrap all of this up with our Q&A segment. The first question is kind of fun. What is your favorite fast food restaurant, Nikki?
Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A or Taco Bell. But Chick-fil-A Monday through Saturday, Taco Bell on Sundays.
Solid.
What about you, Alexis?
Definitely Chick-fil-A. And Wendy's does come in close,
Oh, Wendy's is
but
good.
Chick-fil-A's definitely a winner. But Chick-fil-A's a 40-minute drive for me, and Wendy's is a 20. So, Britt, how about you?
McDonald's all the way.
Their
It's on my
fries.
corner. It's right here. McFlurries. I'm here for it. Caroline, what is
I
yours?
love that. Mine is a local place that I can't say the name of because then you'll know where I live. But it's like a chicken, like a Zaxby's, but better. But if I had to pick like my favorite that everyone knows about, McDonald's for sure. It's just a safe bet. It's always the same. I mean, there might be some tweaks, but it's typically always the same. So yeah, that would be like my
Comfort.
close second.
I like how you guys have the same and we have the same.
Yeah. Also, hashtag not sponsored, but we wish. Chick-fil-A and McDonald's reach out to us.
McDonald's.
That would be great. So the second question is probably one of my favorite questions that we have gotten thus far. It is, what is your favorite thing to do for self-care? So for me,
good one.
my favorite thing to do is meditate. I feel like it is the best thing for me to stay grounded and kind of connect all of my physical, spiritual, mental self into one, and just kind of ground myself, honestly, and just bring peace into my mind. So that's my favorite thing to do. Britt, what about you?
My favorite thing, I feel like, is going to be different than a lot of people's favorite self-care thing. I like to go for walks. I like taking my dogs for walks. Something about the air, being outside, like getting the sun on you, it just really clears my mind. It just makes me feel good. And when I come back from one of those like longer walks, I just feel refreshed and in a better mood. Alexis, what about you?
I don't often get a pedicure, but I do like to get pedicures. But when I cannot get a pedicure, I'll take a bath. And kind of just read my book and just chill and hang out. Nikki, what do you do for yourself?
Oh, the pedicure is the opposite of that for me. And they are not relaxing. My feet are ticklish. I hate them, but I do get them because I don't want to paint my own toenails. I also think going for a walk is a great one. Specifically for me, going for a walk when I can have the dogs on long lines outside of the city limits, so like in nature, is a big one for me, when I can just put on headphones and kind of zone out to some lo-fi, nothing with words or anything like that. And another one for me that I really like to do is those adult coloring books. I think that they really get me out of my spiral about anything that I'm spiraling about. But I will say they bring a whole nother level of anxiety for me because I like to use markers, and I hate when you can see the marker stripes, and I hate when they bleed through the page, and I hate when I mess up. But you can always just rip it out and throw it away. And
It's so relatable.
So why do you use markers?
Because I don't,
yourself up for failure.
Because the colors are the best. I like the vibrant colors of the markers. I usually plan out
do those adult coloring books.
what I want it to look like in my head before I do it. And then I take pictures of it and send it to my friend as I get done certain parts of it to be like, do you like this? And 100% of the time she says yes, because she knows that I'm asking her, because I feel like the color that I just chose was not correct. But then once it's done and everything's filled in and there's no more white on the page, it is so satisfying.
Nikki, we are the same person when it comes to that. Everything you just described is the reason I don't color in coloring books.
I can't do it.
I love it
gives me
so much.
anxiety because I need to like color it quickly so that everything's colored.
No, I love
I
them,
love
but
it.
like I feel like if I'm this and I do one of those, I'm gonna be 10 times more anxious. And then at that point, like what was the point? And then it just makes me mad. And then I just get into this
See, for
anger.
me, it's a different type of anxiety. It's an anxiety that I know I can turn off because I can just stop. I can throw the page away. I can start over. I can just
I
not.
can't.
It's a control thing for me, I think. I'm in control of that. It gives me power to know that I can quit. And I usually am not a quitter either, but and let's be honest, have I ever actually thrown one away? No, I'm going to finish it. It's going to be done. I'm just not going to love it. And then it won't go into my folder with the ones that I love. It will just maybe go into the recycling pile. But the fact that I can sit there and kind of not think about anything else really allows me to tune everything out and just focus on that.
Coloring books with like a documentary about like the ocean, perfect combination. With a cup of tea, that's my like, ideal night.
Or some lo-fi hip hop is what I usually put in my headphones. And
my anxiety is, it could never.
It's just a different type, and it's one that I feel like I can control. And when I feel out of control, I need to harness the anxiety somewhere in a way that I can control it.
I'm very envious of you guys that you can do that.
I mean, you just turn the page and find a different one, and then you start that one, and then you come back to it when you're more at peace.
Actually,
I think I'd get even more anxiety. I think I might even more anxiety not finishing it.
I think this is a shower situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'm not saying what works for me will work for you, but I'm saying I really enjoy it. Thanks for tuning into this episode, and we can't wait to talk to you next Monday. Bye.
Bye.
You can find us on Instagram at Pawfectly Unleashed. Head over there. Let us know what you want to hear. Ask us questions. Everything will stay anonymous, so no worries about that. You can stream our podcast at Pawfectly Unleashed on Spotify and YouTube, coming soon to Apple Podcasts.